The Bills, BREECE Hall. What do you see there?
Well, I go through all these different scenarios with the Bills, and I look at that pick, and I try and find somebody who has more of impact than BREECE Hall, and I can't find anybody. To me, he's the best. He's the best back in the draft. I think he can do everything. I think if you talk to the teams in the division, that'd be the player they would hope does not land in Buffalo, just for what he would add to that offense. So I know people talk about the value of the running back or lack thereof. When you have a good football team that's ready to win right now, I have no problem taking a running back in the first round.
So we try to do it in a way to talk in terms of maybe it's just the way you use the guy or say his name as a playmaker, maybe then worrying more about, obviously he plays the running back position, but you're talking about bringing a playmaker to this offense.
100%. And you think about him, he's going to help you get a lead and keep a lead. You know, with what he can do in the passing game, he's going to fit in beautifully with that offense, really with any offense. And then he's still got some size to him that when you get in your 4-minute offense, you've built up a lead, he can finish the football game. So, yeah, I think he's a playmaker. I think he's definitely one of the 32 best football players in this draft.
So Bean said he's had running backs first-round grades in the past. A lot of people thought it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Is there still that thing about picking a running back in the first round with the whole fifth-year option and all? Does that come into play at all?
I think it's a benefit. You know, I'm not an advocate of taking one up high just because you're picking high, your team's probably not very good. And if we think about, the limited number of carries you have in your body, if we say that's 5 years of quality carries, why would you waste 2 or 3 years of quality carries on a bad football team? But if you got a good football team like Buffalo has, he comes in there, and even if he has a 4 or 5 year run, those are all meaningful carries on a team that's ready to win right now. You don't waste them. So that's why I think there is value with a guy like that in the first round.
Where do you see the other needs for the Bills? If they did not go running back, or even if they do in the first round, where do you see it?
Well, I think corner. You could look at corner, continue to add to that group. Tre'Davious still coming back from that injury. I think that would be a place that would make some sense there. At the safety, obviously they're good right now, but if you're thinking kind of more into the future, with Jordan Poyer, potentially you don't know where that's going to go. I could see that being an option as well. It's kind of weird. This is a team that is going to play with leads, so you can almost build your team accordingly. And to me, that's pass rushers and corners.
In terms of drafting wide receivers, picking them, bringing them to the team, when you have a Josh Allen, how does that change the way you look at getting another wide receiver?
Makes it easy. I think he makes you right no matter what you want to do there. So, they've already invested pretty heavily in the position. I think now you can say, okay, what's maybe a trait that we'd like to add to it, and knowing that Josh is going to be able to get that out of that player. So, to me, it's like, if you want to just add a pure speed player outside, you can do that, and he'll find a role, and he'll be a very valuable member of their team.
Yeah, not to take a shot at anybody, but when they had EJ as the quarterback and they went and got Sammy Watkins, it was more to the wide receiver sort of to make the quarterback. But you're saying when you have Josh Allen,
it's a lot easier to go the other way around. He just makes everybody better. He can make you right, and I do think it's interesting in the early part of his development, you go get the veteran with Stephon Diggs. I think what you've seen now when you look at the trades with Green Bay and Devontae Adams, you look at the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill, when you have an established veteran quarterback, you're more okay. You're okay saying bring in some young receivers. Our quarterback's going to make the receivers, not the other way around.
How do you see the draft shaking up? Because we hear all the rumors now. This is the time where everybody wants to trade up and teams are looking to trade back, especially out of your position.
Yeah.
How tough is it to sift through the, dare I say,
nonsense
BS or smoke? Because I think that we're in that time frame where it's the smokescreen time of the year, right?
Yeah, well, one of the things I think is kind of silly when people say they've made calls. Yeah, every team calls every team because you want to know kind of, okay, if our guy is there, or, if your guy's not there, you have those preliminary discussions. I think that starts heating up a little bit over the next day and into tomorrow morning, where you start having more concrete discussions. But nobody knows anything in this draft. I couldn't tell you with certainty who the first pick is in this draft. So anybody that says they know that this team's going to do that or the other in terms of trades, it's a little early.
Being talked about that because of the quarterbacks being kind of a mystery and the left tackles makes this draft more than ever volatile. Does that play into teams maybe making runs if a couple wide receivers go and then all of a sudden a team needs one to make moves? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think quarterbacks are pillars in drafts. So when you have quarterbacks, you kind of know how everything's going to shape and around that, and you kind of get a sense for where people are going to go. We don't have that in this draft. We do have some runs. I think you're going to see a run on receivers. I think you're going to see a run on pass rushers probably right at the top of the draft. And different portions of the draft you're going to see runs. Day 2, we're going to see a run on off-the-ball linebackers. They're going to all go. So just kind of identifying where you are in that run, and teams when they have a little bit of a need at those positions and they see that run start, that's when you get antsy.